Hello, welcome to this tutorial on JavaScript for absolute beginners. Great. So this week we are going to be learning about arrays. They sound so complicated, but they're not. Not complicated at all. Actually, they're quite simple. But before we do that, a little recap. Last week we learned about conditionals. Before that, we learned about data types. All right. So now we're learning about arrays. And what are arrays? So arrays are collections of data. So arrays are, you can think of an array as a plate or a bowl with a collection of items on it. So you can say, take fruit for example, you can say a plate with lots of fruits, different kinds of fruits in it. You can say you have an apple, you have a banana, you've got an orange, you've got a mango, you've got a guava in it. And then the next thing is that an array can also have other arrays or other forms of collections of data in them. So an array can house anything in them. All right. Now, what is the goal for this tutorial? We are looking to achieve a couple of things. One of them is how to work with arrays. The other one is how to understand reference types and how to use common array and object methods. We might not go in depth into objects and object method, object literals and object methods, and we might not just go deeper into objects. That will be a later tutorial. But today we're going to focus all our energy on arrays. And just before I go on, I want to give a big shout out to CodeSteal, who is the maker of these slides. I took these slides from one of his courses that I had bought on Udemy because they really capture everything, about arrays. CodeSteal is one of the top tutors on Udemy and also has a YouTube channel. So check him out. Give him a shout out. So no plagiarism intended. All credits for these slides go to CodeSteal. Thank you. So we jump right back into it. So arrays are ordered collections of data. So for example, it can be a list of comments on an IG post, it can be a collection of levels in a game, it can be a collection of songs in a playlist. Do you understand that? So you see this image here, you just see that you have different boxes with different items in them, like pails. In them you see that they're like quite different. So each one of these boxes, is an array, and all of them put together can also be one array, and each one of them can also be different array because they've got different items in them, right? Doesn't also mean that arrays content in an array must be different. They can also be a collection of the same things. It can be a collection of strings, for example. It can be a collection of functions. It can be a collection of objects, right? So now we get into it. So basically, how do we create arrays? It's quite simple. We create arrays. For instance, I could just say const students is equal to, that's it, an array. This is an opened and a closed brackets. That's all. That's all you need to create an array. See, not complicated at all. Quite simple. Now, everything that we put inside of the array is what we call the items in the array. For example, we have said this is a collection of students, so we can just put out their names, right? We can say Stephen, right? We can then say Paul. We can say James. We can say Raina. We can say Raina. So all of these are items in an array, right? Now, one key thing to note is that the items in the array are separated by commas. You have to separate them, each item, with a comma. All right. If I just remove this, you will see that it will throw me an error because this is a problem. We expected a comma there, right? So this is an array of students. So if I just do console.log students, you will see that it is say arrays.js. You see, to return those students back to me. Oh, sorry, I said node instead of node. Arrays.js. right? See, it gives me Stephen, Paul, James, and Rainer, right? Beautiful. Now, arrays don't stop there, right? They don't stop there. There are other things that we could do with an array, you know. One other thing to know is this: arrays are indexed. Now, what that means is that every item in the array is indexed, and that just simply means that it's assigned a number. Every item in an array is assigned a number upon being added into the array, and this is usually automated. Now, one thing to mention is that numbers in index numbers in, let me say, JavaScript starts counting from 0. You start counting from 0. So usually you count your numbers from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But actually in computer language, you start counting from 0. All right. So to do that, if I do this, if I say what do we do now? Okay, let me say console.log. Let me just set to console.log. And then we say students. How do we get the item, the first item on the list, the first item in the array? What do? We use another bracket and put the index of that number, of that item, right? So we want to get Steven, right? And remember that I said that items in an array are indexed, and those that index starts from the 0, right? So you can say 0 is a number in computer programming, right? So this will be 0, 1, 2, 3, right? 0, 1, 2, 3. Let me show you guys something. Let's say console.log, right? Student dot length. Length, right? Now, if we come here, we say node arrays.js. You see, it tells us there are 4 items on this list, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. But that's not how it counts it. It counts it as 0, 1, 2, 3. Because if you look at the console, item at index of 0, which is what the second log into the console is, gives us Steven. If we do console.log students at index of 3, we should get what? Who can guess? Rainer. You see that? So usually computers start counting from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, right? 0, 1, 2, 3. It's really that simple. Okay. Now, I have mentioned that there are several things that we can do with an array, right? Now, how do we modify arrays? So, modification simply means one of several things. We want to maybe add an item or change an item, change an item in the array, remove an item, add an item to the front, add an item to the back, add an item somewhere in the middle or something. So, we want to insert something somewhere in the middle and all that. So, there are different methods that we use to do it. And by the way, by method I'm referring to object array methods, which is like attached functions that we use to basically modify these things. Now let's just get into it and all that. So the first one is that you can say, for example, if I want to change the item, the first item in the array from Steven to let's say Chris, for example, I'll say students at index of 0 is equal to, I'll now say Chris, right? Now, if I now say console.log, oh, by the way, let me just do something here so we don't have to keep typing console.log all the time. Const.log is equals to console.log. Alright, so now if I do log students, hopefully that works, right? Sorry, and then node arrays.js. All right, so you see that. So you see that Chris is now what is the first item and no longer Steven. All right, so we can change those items like that. Right, I can target the index of a number of an item on in an array and then change its contents. Now, contents can change as long as contents can change as long as the reference remains the same. So what that means is that we cannot say let's try it. So for let's do let's here and then say, let's say students. This might work actually. I've never gotten to try it. Right? This might work actually. Alright. It might work, but let's see. We're learning, aren't we? Yeah. See that? So change it to an empty object. See that now? Now, but if it's cost, we can't obviously. So you already know that. So we're just gonna skip that. Skip all the way through. So right. So let's get back to it. So now let's look at array.pop. Right? Array.pop is how we remove an item from the back. It's how we remove an item from the end of an array. Right? So let's just say new students, let's say const new students equals to students dot pop, right? And then we console dot log new students. Now if we do node arrays.js, you see that new students oh sorry, I forgot that I had changed. Yes, so yes, we got it right. So log so that's it. That's sorry, 1 second. So as you can see, it returns Reina to us. So what we have done is that we have, so when you use pop, it removes the item from behind and returns it to you, right? It removes the item, the last item from the back, and then returns it to you. So that's why we have Reina here, so that we don't just get confused. Let me just remove this guy here. All right, because I know that. So you see, so if we just do that again, if we do log new students, right, and let's just clear this and say node arrays.js. See, gives us Reina. So Reina has been popped off the list. All right, so if we now do a console.log for students, see, so we now say log students, right? You see, arrays.js. You see, we no longer have Reina there. We now have Chris, Paul, and James, right? We now have Chris, Paul, and James. No more Reina, right? It's really that simple. Really that simple. So to pop off an item from the back, to remove an item from the back, we pop it off. Right? It's that simple. Array.pop removes an item from the back. Now this is the thing that I want to say to you guys, right? Do not beat yourself up if you confuse these things at the beginning. Everybody does. The best of JavaScript developers most of the time Google these things. Right, I still do it. I still Google it from time to time. You know, how do I remove an item from the back of an array? It happens all to the best of us. So don't beat yourself up. You only get used to these things by practice. Okay. Now, push. Array.push. Array.push is how we add an item to the beginning. We add an item. Array.push is also you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to, I'll try it, I'll do it, and then I'll explain it, so that way we're not talking too much. Okay, so so let's do a const added or new item or new student, no, new addition. Let's just do that, is equal to students dot push, right? And then we'll say Paula, all right? And then we will log this up. We will log console.log students. Okay, then we'll do this. So node.js. You see that? So you see that on our first log, we've got students here. That's Chris, Paul, and James. Remember that we removed Rainer, and now in addition, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be making this simple now for you guys. So I'm going to be doing this now. New addition. Yes. So you're going to be able to be clear. Mr.js. See that? Okay. Right. Whatever. Right. And all that. So basically, you guys get the idea. I don't want to confuse you guys, please. New addition, students.push. So you add an item to the end of the array. Right? You add an item to the end of the array. You add an item to the end of the array. It's that simple. Push is how you add an item to the end of the array. Okay? Sorry. Exactly. So whatever. Okay. Now shift. As usual, I'm just going to do it. Just say const added const shift is equals to students dot shift. Right? So shift removes the first element from the array, right, and returns it to you. Remember that pop removes the last item from the array and returns it to you. Shift removes the first element in the array and does what? Returns it to you. So if we do log log shift, and then we say node, sorry, and then let's also log students. So we now say node arrays.js. You see it? So here we had done what? Popped off Rainer, right? Now we have shifted Chris. So shift removes from the front, pop removes from the back. Get it? Very simple, not complicated at all. Again, with more practice, you'd get it. The best of designers forget these things all of the time. All right, now who can guess what unshift does? Const unshift is equals to students dot unshift. Right? Now unshift is how we add an element to the beginning. Right? I can then say, oh, let's do Mark. All right, and then we're going to log unshift and then log students, just so we're seeing how everything is going on. So I'm going to clear this node arrays.js. See that? So it has done what? Added Mark to the beginning. right? He has done what? Added mark to the beginning. You get? So what it does, if you read here, it says on shift, inserts new element at the start of an array and returns the new length of the array. It doesn't return the value that was added, it returns the length of the array. If we do this again, if we do and say Mark Matthew, right? And then let's just run this again. You see that I expect that this 3 becomes 4. You know, arrays.js. Say it 4. So we now have Mark, Matthew, Paul, James, right? In that order. Do you get that now? Great. So what next? Array.slice. So const slice equals to students dot slice. Now slice returns a copy of a section of an array for both start and end. A negative can be used to indicate an offset from the end of the array. For example, -2 refers to the second to the last element of the array. So now it says the beginning index of the specified portion of the array if start is undefined. All of this is just jargon, right? So what slice does is that it helps you copy a section of the array. And I'm just going to do something now. So if I say, remember that we mentioned that arrays are indexed. Now I want to take a section of the students. Remember, we have 4 items in our array now. So if I want to take items 1 and 2, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say start an index of 0 and give me 2 items. So what it's going to do is that it's going to start from here and give me Matthew and Mark. All right, Matthew and Mark. Matthew and Mark. So now what it does, wait, just let's consider that. Stop talking. And then just say log slice. Right? Log students. Right? And then clear. Node arrays.js. See that? So it gives me Mark and Matthew, which is the copy that I have just brought out. Yeah, so array.slice. Yeah, so array.slice is how we can copy sections of an array. When you copy this when you copy that section of an array, the array returns it back to you. Like I said, I'm just going to write it this time around now. Permit me to do this. So quickly I had to look up some things in order to get back to this, because like I said, everybody forgets these things. Really, nobody remembers all of this at the same time. With the more practice you get, the more you get accustomed to this thing. So all right, so so let's say const slice students is equals to students dot slice. So let's say I want to copy items from the beginning to, let's say, the first 3 items, right? So I'd go so I provide 2 variables to it. I'll provide 2 parameters to it. The first one is where I want it to start copying from and where I want it to stop, right? So 0 is the index. Remember I said that computers start counting from 0, and then so I'll count. I'll go to the students and count 1, 2, 3. Now if I stop here, I'm sorry, this is 0, 1, 0, 1, 2. Now if I stop here, it will not add this one, so I have to stop here. So I have to go 0, 1, 2, 3, right? And it will give me these 3 items. So what that does is if I come here and say 3, right? And then node arrays.js, right? And it will give me, oh, didn't log that, sorry. Log sliced students. Okay, node arrays.js, right? Oh, come on, Steven, what are you doing? Node arrays.js. See, it gives me Chris, Paul, James. See that? Now, if I want to copy something, say from the middle, right, I have to start from the index of that file, of that item that I want to copy from, and then specify where I want it to end. And this is quite a little bit tricky, so I'll just take time and explain it to you guys. All right, so you see, if I do const sliced students 2, right, and now say so students slice, right. So I now say I want to copy. So let's say I want to copy from Reina to Ralph, right? So the index is 0 1 2 3 0 1 2 3, right? 0 1 2 3, right? And I want to stop at Ralph, so the index again will be from here, 0 1 2 3 4 5 6. Now remember that if I stop at Ralph, it will not give me Ralph as well, so I have to go to 7. So that means what we need to do is go from 3 to 7, right, and do node arrays.js, and we get, oh come on Steven, log these things, log sliced students 2, right. So I'm just going to clear this terminal and node arrays.js. You see, now it gives me Reina, Bridges, Nate, Ralph. You see that? So that's typically how it works with no slice. Now you can also take elements from the back, right? So you can just, so if let's say you want to take elements from the back, all you just have to do is provide a negative symbol to offset from the back. All right, so so let's say I want to go from Wendy to Bridget, right? So I just have to provide a -1 2 3 4, right, or a -3. I need to give me the first 3 items. Okay, so let's try that. Let's say okay, let's just console it. Let's just log this strict log students. Okay, no, so that you don't get confused. Let's say const back students is equal to students slice, right, and I say -4, right. And if I just clear this out, and you see node arrays.js, log it, man, back, all right. Try again, node arrays.js. Now you see, so now see that in the first one it gives me this one, it gives me Chris, Paul, James, and then I take from the middle Reina, Bridget, Nate, Ralph, and then here it gives me Wendy, Ralph, Nate. So if I do 3 here, it should give me 3 instead. It should give me the bottom 3, right? It should give me the last set of 3 students. So it gives me Nate, Wendy, Ralph, right? Nate, Ralph, Wendy. It's that simple with slice, right? It's really that simple with slice. It's slice. Now it's different from slice, even though they sound alike. And while you will usually use slice to copy sections of an array, you would most times use splice to delete sections of an array or replace elements in certain aspects of an array. Again, I'm just going to show you guys. So if I do, and I'm just going to put this in comments so you can say const spliced is equals to students not splice. Now I need to provide 3 parameters to the splice function for it to work. First, where I want it to start from. So let's say I want it to start from the 3rd element, from the 3rd element, and I want to remove one thing, right? and I want to add maybe another thing. So let's say Jamie as a new name. All right, now I will log students. All right, and then if I come here, I will do node arrays.js. Right, you see that? So you see that something has happened here. Just watch that. Let me pull this up for you to see. I brought down. So you see. Did I not clear this before? So that you can just see it properly. Good. Now, what you see here now is, am I calling something somewhere? Is there something I'm calling? I want to. Sorry, guys, permit me. Okay. Okay. So, so you see, I have added Jamie here. So Chris, Paul, James, and I removed something and I added Jamie. And if we go here, you will see that Chris, Paul, James, and Rainer is out and is been replaced by Jamie. So typically, you will use splice to remove or replace certain items. Now, it doesn't mean that I must. I can also do a 0 and it will just add Jamie to it. So if I do node arrays.js, you will see that Rainer will still be there, but Jamie now takes that position. You see that now. And to prove this, we had maybe like 7 items on the list before. If you check, we now have 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 items, right? And now, so you see that we have not added, even though Rainer is there, we still have Jamie there. You get. So the thing is that typically sorry, like spliced. So typically splice returns the elements that you have deleted, right? It returns the elements that you have removed. All right, so let me just show you guys. Arrays.js. Now you see that it gives an empty array, and that's because it gives an empty array here because we have not actually deleted anything. You see that? Now, so let's delete something, and if we say okay, remove 2 items or remove 3 items from the array starting from index of 3, right? Starting from index 3, remove 3 items, then add Jamie, right, to it. Then add Jamie to it. That will now be node arrays.js, and you will see what would happen now is to give us Rainer, Bridget, and Nate have been deleted, and we have now added Jamie to the middle of it. See, that is typically how splice works. So that's splice. So while slice is used for copying sections of an array, splice is used to replace items in an array. So you can just remove you can just replace an item there. Great. Now, includes. I think that includes is quite straightforward because it already says it. We're not just going to do this out, right? I'm just going to do this and I say okay, const included is equals to array dot student, right, dot includes Jamie, right? So what we're asking now is that we're telling JavaScript to check if the array includes an item named Jamie. Do you get that? So if log included, right? So not arrays.js says false. It doesn't include Jamie. You know why? Because it is case sensitive. So we need to go back and say node arrays.js, and it returns true to us now. You see? So there is a Jamie in it. If you say, oh, check for Wendy, and that will be arrays node arrays.js, and that gives us false, right? That will be because we most likely have removed Wendy from the lot. I will comment this out first and see what comes, and also check that we are not case sensitive, right? Right, and clear. Yes, true. See that now, right? So it's that simple. So it returns a true or false value, right? It returns a true or false value. That's typically what it does. So it checks if an item is there or not. So he said, I want to check if there is a user with the name Steven. So if array that includes Steven, if this array includes an item named Steven, then do something. That's basically what that is. All right. Then the last one for today, which is not the last of the objects that's available, is a lot of them, but we cannot cover all of them in the course of this tutorial. Okay, is index of. An index of visually just returns to us the index where that item is located. It's how you find items using the index number for it. Okay, so for it, so you just clear this out. So you just do students.index of that item that you're looking for. So you provide, so let's say Ralph, and then say node arrays.js, and it turns 6. And the thing is, if it doesn't find the item, it returns a -1. That's -1. So if I say, for example, Paul, do I have a Paul there? Yeah, there's a Paul. Pauline. I'm definitely sure I don't have a Pauline there. Arrays.js, and they give you a -1. If we do Wendy, it will return us the index number of Wendy. So we say node arrays.js Wendy, and it's that simple, guys. So again, as a recap, arrays are how we are able to store collections of data that are both related or differentiated between each other. The benefit of it is that we can store a group of items. You know, instead of having to store them individually, we can store a collection of items together. And then a good thing with arrays is that we are able to modify the arrays, you know, manipulate them, remove something, add something, copy something, delete something from different sections of the array. When we get to learn about loops, we'll learn how to loop through, you know, items in an array, you know, and all that stuff and everything. So really, arrays are quite very interesting. Very soon we will be working on a project using everything that we've learned so far. Right now, we're just covering the basics. I really hope that you guys enjoyed these tutorials. If you have any questions, if you feel confused in any way from any of the things that I've mentioned or said, please just shoot me a comment, and I'll be very, very, very happy to answer your questions and provide feedback. Once again, please, before you go, please don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to share the video, please. Thank you guys to all the numerous people who have subscribed to my channel so far. Thank you. Bye.